we started the videos and it was extremely uncomfortable. I like to be behind the camera, not in front. It really took some time. And for a while there, I wanted to quit, but I'm not a quitter. I've never quit anything in my life. And so I'm like, this has to get easier as we go along. And then, like I said, just all of a sudden it hit, and then it didn't really stop from that point. It's 2025. I've only been practicing for about a year, and I'm at $6 million in transactions this year.
If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plum. Let's get started. All right, today we're talking with my good friend Matt Ecoff, and he's telling me about him and his wife Rachel that have really turned their business around. Actually, they're brand new agents, just a little over a year into the business, but he has a tremendous business background, and he's in his mid-40s now, had to make a transition into real estate. A lot of similarities between our stories, and so came out of a previous business and partnership that did not leave a good taste in his mouth. And he realized that he had to do something different. And in his area of Florida, Smyrna Beach, I believe Smyrna Beach. He said, look, it's a small market, about 30,000 people. So you're either in restaurants or real estate. And so he chose real estate, and just felt everything there was a little too old school, a little too traditional. Nobody was really doing videos at all. And so he saw a gap in the market. He came across us, attended one of our challenges, and which, by the way, you can check the description or check the link in our bio if you want to attend our next upcoming challenge. He got on that. He never did social media, didn't even have a Facebook. So he had an old LinkedIn account and no other social media to his name. So wasn't a video guy or a social media guy. And something just clicked on our challenge. He said, okay, I see a path here. I could see myself doing this, even though he was still really nervous about getting on camera. But he committed to it, and he said, all right, we're going to go all in, and I'm just going to follow the passive prospecting program. And sure enough, now that's led to about $8 million in production just at his 1 year anniversary, to where he was almost considering getting out of real estate because it was so challenging. And again, this is a challenging market, challenging time in the business. And that doesn't mean your YouTube channel is just going to take off overnight. It could, but it does take some work and it does take some patience, and you got to give yourself a little grace, especially in this market. But he stuck with it, stayed consistent. And he said after that first phone call, he got a deal within about 2 days under contract. And then it's just been a compound effect from there. But he's got an amazing story. Really loved my conversation with Matt. You will too. So let's jump into it. All right, and welcome Matt Ecoff, right? Did I say that right?
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
I know. Hey, look, I'm the man of 1,000 last names as well. I've heard it pronounced every other way. So I appreciate you coming on.
And
yeah, thank you. So tell us first, what market are you in?
I'm in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. So I'm on the east side, just south of Daytona, just north of SpaceX. So any SpaceX rockets that are going up, I can look at them and see them going up from my backyard. So they're pretty much every 3 or 4 days we see a rocket going up. So between Daytona and SpaceX.
Okay. And how long have you been in real estate?
Just barely a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Brand new. I like it. All right.
Brand new. Yep. Brand new.
Okay, so let's. I always like to hear from people about what they transition from, because it's always interesting, and so many people are always thinking about moving into real estate or looking at similar backgrounds. So, what were you doing? And you said, I know you're similar to my age, and so this is that's a drastic change, I would say. Probably it was for me, right, in my 40s to transition into real estate. So you did the same thing. So. Walk us back a little bit. What were you doing before, and then why the transition into real estate?
Okay, so I was in your neck of the woods in Dallas, Texas. I was in the home services trade, mechanical. So I did air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical work for residential. We did a little bit of commercial, but mostly it was residential. So we helped a lot of people flip houses. We would do repairs and replacements of air conditioning, plumbing systems, electrical systems. So I've been in home services for a while. I started that business in 2010, lived in Florida my entire life, had an opportunity to start a business in Dallas, Texas. And again, had lived in Florida my whole life. So just thought I would take a leap and go out to that area. Loved it out there. Built the business up, started with just 2 people, and then built it up to a staff of about 45 when I ended up selling the business. So in 2000, right after COVID happened, my wife and I really started praying about moving back to Florida. All of our family was here. People weren't traveling, as you know, and everybody knows, it was really kind of stay at home. And the people that you were around during the COVID time was really kind of the people that you were related to, and really nobody else. And so we kind of felt isolated in Dallas and didn't feel like we were surrounded by family like we should have. So we prayed a lot about moving back to Florida. I felt like I had a great leadership team in place for my business and that I could run it remotely. And so the Lord opened up a lot of doors for us. And so that's actually what we ended up doing. We ended up moving back to Florida. We moved to New Smyrna Beach, is where we live now. Our daughter was in heaven. This is a big surf town, actually. National Geographic rates it the 4th best surf town in the nation, with Hurricane Ian that was just here. We had surfers from all over the world here riding our waves because they were absolutely amazing. So anyway, I would go back to Dallas for about 3 or 4 days out of the month every month. And then I did some mission work in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, and went from there to Comayagua and Siguatepeque, a couple different places in the middle of the country. Not Roatan, like people are used to Honduras, the vacation town, but this was like in the middle of the country, and did some entrepreneurial work with faith-based entrepreneurial work, and I just fell in love with it. And I thought, I want to do a lot more of this, but I need some more flexibility to do this. And the air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical world didn't give me that freedom that I needed. So I had an opportunity to sell the business. And I thought I had somebody really close that wanted to buy the business, and that relationship didn't end up panning out to be what I expected it to be. And so that ended up not working out. I ended up connecting with your story about getting kind of taken advantage of, and in the process, and really felt like I needed to now buckle down on something that was going to be a second career, but use all of my history in home services and with people and with customer service and with selling to focus on something else that would be advantageous for me and my family. And so we live in a beach town. We live on an island. It's just 12 miles long and barely a half mile wide in some areas. And in other areas, it's only about 100 yards wide. So unless I owned a restaurant or sold real estate, I wasn't going to be able to continue to stay here. And since I've never worked in the restaurant business, I thought, well, my other option is selling real estate. And I came across your videos and joined a 3-day thing, and saw your stuff and saw that you were a man of faith as well. And just kind of dove into it. And I'm like, I don't have some of the other things, some of the experience, and some of the other, the fears that other agents have. And so I'm gonna have to do something different. And so that's what I did. And I dove right into it. And it's 2025. I've only been practicing for about a year, and we're in August right now. Or actually it's September 2nd now, September 2nd. And I'm at $6 million in transactions this year.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. A lot to unpack there. First
of all,
congratulations. That's amazing. Let me backtrack just a little bit. The entrepreneurial ventures, did you start like a business in Honduras or?
So no, actually what we do is it's called Emprende, and we do mentorship. So we'll go with our first day, me and other entrepreneurs from around the world, usually 5 or 6 of us, and we'll sit and we'll do a Shark Tank, a legit Shark Tank for about 8 hours. And we'll watch about 15 entrepreneurs pitch us their ideas. And then in the breakout sessions, we get to have one-on-ones with those people and kind of tell them how they can do a little bit better, what they can do different for their business. They're called developing countries for a reason, because they're not using the resources that we have in the United States, Estados Unidos. And so we try to help them forward think. Also with Latin America, they don't do any mentor groups. They don't do peer groups and things like that. It's just something they don't do. They really hold their businesses close. And probably because the businesses get stolen and stuff like that, and ideas get stolen. And so they don't do a lot of that. So we'll go and we'll do the Shark Tank, and then I'll speak at events, and then I'll actually go do site visits. I'll go to people's shops and I'll help them out with whatever they're doing, whether it's a clothing store or they sell furniture or, anything like that. We'll go do that as well. And then I stay in touch with them afterwards. So we'll do Zoom meetings once a month and talk through how their business are going. We'll concentrate on some key things that they have to work on. So I have an entrepreneurial background, and I have a master's of business administration. So I have an MBA. And so business is something that I really like. And the Lord says to much has been given, much should be demanded. And so he's given me a lot. And so I feel like that's something that I want to give back and do with, the entrepreneurial stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's really cool. And then But now working through central Honduras, right, is where you're.
Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua. When we go to all Costa Rica, I'm going to Guatemala and Antigua in like 6 weeks.
Oh, any Belize in there?
We don't go to Belize that often, no.
Oh, okay. Just because of geography?
You just don't have the program is fairly new. Serve Hope is based out of Dallas, and they're an international program, but they do a lot of different things. They bring in clean water, they build houses, they're in coffee. The subgroup that I'm in is called Emprende, and our group is an entrepreneur mentorship. And so we're opening up in Panama for the first time in just a couple of weeks. So our program isn't huge, but it's a little bit more difficult to find people that are entrepreneurial, that can add value to what some of the small businesses are doing. I'm not trying to be arrogant in any way, but there's just, entrepreneurs are a different breed. I mean, nobody thinks like us. It's lonely at the top, they say, and that's true with entrepreneurs because nobody understands it. Even our spouses don't get it. And so to be able to sit with other entrepreneurs and them to share themselves and talk about it and be open and transparent and sometimes candid and say, look, this isn't going to work. Here's what you should be doing instead, because they're providing for their families as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can help you all out with the Belize edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I've been there twice this year already. And yeah. So
what do you do there? Did you do anything specific?
Well, I've property there, first of all. So, I mean, that is part of the long-term vision is to, build something significant there. I've actually got, I've got a beachfront lot, but then I also have 200 acres in the jungle. So with the 200 acres, that is the long-term vision for an eco community, you could say. So I would love to build not just for short-term rental. The tourism and short-term rental will fuel the community, but then I'd also want something there that could serve the community as well. So awesome. Not just with jobs, but possibly even having a church on site, maybe even a school or something as well. There's just so much room to do what we can, but then also, if we can help turn it into a zero waste. So, whatever's left over or excess. 130 acres of it is farm right now too. So, that's as long as we put a restaurant on site and that's self-sustaining, if we could get rid of the rest, so to speak, or give away the rest or any excess, then that would be really cool, just because it's a vastly underserved community there as well. I think in all areas, not just spiritually, but business wise. There's definitely some businesses there, most of them foreign, that or from the US or Canada, a lot of that type of investment, but not much, I think, for the locals. They either just have the jobs or they work jobs, so something like that I think would be really, really,
I definitely think we could connect. Serve Hope is based in Dallas. Their CEO and their COO both live in Dallas area, and like I said, we're all over Latin America, and we do build houses and bring in clean water and things like that too. So those are things that Belize also needs, and the entrepreneurial side, of course, they need it as well. So maybe there's a connection outside of this, outside of real estate, that we can help each other out. That'd be awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, happy to talk more on that at another time. So. How do you feel? And just real quick, one last thing, like traveling through central Honduras. How do you feel about safety there? Because I've heard there's some things going on in Honduras, right?
There is, yeah. MS-13 does. Tegucigalpa is the capital, and it's in the middle of the country. And then they take Comayagua and Siguatepeque up through to travel kind of into Mexico City area. And so those are the areas that I'm in. We stay in our groups, and we do stay with locals too. And so, look, I'm going there to move the kingdom forward. And so I'm not, I think fear is in the Bible. It's in fact a sin. And so I don't want to be stupid, but I do stay with locals, and I pretty good with the language. And I do stick out like a sore thumb. I'm 6'2" with a shaved head and a beard. So I don't look like I'm from there. But
well, good. Then you're twice the size of probably most of the people there.
So, but I do love it there. And in fact, I won't go to a place in any of Latin America with my wife and child until I actually go there. And during my third visit, I took my wife and my 11-year-old daughter to Comayagua, and we flew in, and then they stayed with me in Seguatepeque, and we walked around with, I had an interpreter for them, and I felt comfortable enough for them to be there. And we went to church with them, and my daughter was like, she wanted to go to children's church, and we're like, sweetie, they don't speak speak English. And the children say, I don't care. And she doesn't speak enough Spanish to understand. And she was gone for an hour and a half, came back, and we're like, how'd that go? And she's like, it was the best Sunday school I've ever been to. I'm like, did you understand anything? She goes, absolutely not, but it was the best Sunday school I've ever been to. So, there's still a connection there.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so now we transition into real estate. You move back to Florida, and then you're like, all right, well, it's either restaurants or real estate, and you like to eat, but not necessarily cook. So
that's right. So I took a fractional CFO position because I have a business background. So there was a broker that I knew that was doing some really cool, unique things. But unfortunately, she was in Central Florida in Winter Park, which is the richest area of all of Central Florida. It's where all the professional athletes live and celebrities and stuff like that. And so I took a fractional CFO position there, got my real estate license just to protect her broker's license. But I just hated the drive. It was like an hour and a half to get in and then an hour and a half back. And I'm like, I didn't sell a business to do this. And so I'd already had a real estate license, and I'm like, I'm just going to try to pursue real estate on my own and be my own team. And so I had some mentoring there from her, but she did tear downs and then complete like $5 to $10 million remodels, big houses, mansions. In fact, Seth Curry's wife, Doc Rivers' daughter, was one of our first purchasers of one of the first houses I helped her with. It was like a $6 million house. So I got into the real estate side there with her, but then transitioned to be a solo agent. And it's not easy. I mean, it was not easy at all. And I thought in the past, I thought that real estate was just a pretty easy occupation, and it's not. It is, the contracts are not difficult, the negotiations are not difficult, but it seemed like the customers were, and getting people to trust you and to trust you that you're telling them the truth versus
Thank you.
Versus other agents that, will tell them anything and everything just to get the listing. So again, I wanted to be unique and do something different. And this is a very competitive market here, but I did feel like it was stuck in the 90s, and I felt like there was something new that needed to be offered. And I'd heard over and over and over again that real estate agents did not like to spend marketing money, and I didn't mind spending marketing money. So I know that that's going to pay dividends and just tracking ROI. So we started the videos, and it was extremely uncomfortable. I mean, I like to be behind the camera, not in front. And it was really, really tough at first, but then now it seems to be really easy. And it's great because I get to look at communities that I wouldn't normally look at. I get to figure out facts and do the research on it. And so even if I'm not doing deals from people that are calling in from my channel, I'm getting to explore neighborhoods that I'm going to need to know about in the future anyway. So it was, it really was a great thing for us.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So, well, and then you got into real estate, but then how long before you came across what we were doing? Were you in there like 2, 3, 4 months? Were you just trying to work it on your own, or?
So I got my license in February of last year. I took the fractional CFO position. I kept that until April. Didn't want to travel. Then for about May and June, I did just open houses for my broker, just big houses and just to kind of meet people. And then it was July 15th last year that I found out that the deal that I had written in place was not going to come to fruition. And even though everything was in writing and there was contracts and I was supposed to be paid, I can't make the other side do the right thing. And it was July 15th last year. I think we signed up for your program by July 28th. I mean, I'm like right away, oh my gosh, I have a mortgage, I have a wife, I have a child. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, and like I need to pay the bills. And so I'm going to have to do something different now. And I started researching, joined your 3-day class, and joined pretty much right after that. So I was in real estate, maybe actively doing open houses for 2 months before I joined your program.
Okay. And then, so, I mean, not a social media guy before, right?
No, I never even had Facebook. I had a LinkedIn account. I didn't have a Facebook. I had a MySpace for like 2 weeks back in like 2000 something.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and then, so you got intrigued by the 3-day event. On the 3-day event, you thought, like, what kind of triggered that for you to say, wow, this makes sense, and I'm willing to, and really, I always argue that that YouTube's not really a social media platform. It's a search engine. They're building in kind of social media components now, but still, making video. I mean, that's what a lot of people are really concerned about getting started. And so what was it that just kind of made you say, yeah, I think I really see a path here?
I think it was that this is a small, quaint beach town, and that they haven't really moved the needle forward in a long time. They've been doing real estate the same way. I mean, the biggest name in town still has her pictures from the 80s on every bus stop, and she's like the biggest name in town. And I just thought there's an opportunity to move the needle forward a little bit. And a lot of these houses, this city got developed in the 50s and 60s, and a lot of these people are aging out, and a lot of people are passing away, and kids are inheriting them. They're selling them quick, and there's got to be a different way to market. Plus, once we got on the board for National Geographic for a surf town, and then not long after that we were in Better Homes and Gardens, then like all of a sudden an influx of people are starting to come in. And I'm just like, there's a different way to do this than the traditional old school way that everybody else is doing it. And I want to be forward thinking. And so, in Dallas, which is, Dallas Fort Worth is what, the fourth or fifth largest metropolitan area in the nation. We had to be very strategic with what we did in the air conditioning world, and, and in plumbing, because there's so many choices out there. We can't afford to just, be on the search engine, HVAC near me. We can't afford to do that. So we had to do things differently. And so I wanted to do things differently out here. And so your program was that, I felt.
Okay, cool. That's amazing. And then, all right, so you get involved, you get started. And also, by the way, you're starting your real estate career in like one of the worst markets,
sure.
Of course. I mean, and we say worst, I mean, it's really, it's one of the most challenging, just because the transactions are absent. I mean, you look at last year was the lowest transaction volume in the last 30 years. And this year is probably going to play out to be the same, maybe even a little bit lower. So there's so many people just hanging out. But at the same time, we know that people are still buying and selling homes every single day. You just got to be able to get in front of them. So you're just like me in Dallas. When I started 5 years ago, I felt there is a gap in the market for YouTube, because I saw what you saw. All the big name brokers, they got all the billboards, all the bus stops, although not that prevalent here in Dallas, but all the articles.
Yeah, we still have a drawbridge that comes in town.
Oh wow, okay.
So cool. We only have two bridges that come in town. So we're a little bit behind everything else, where we still have a drawbridge. So yeah, we're a little bit behind DFW.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, Florida is notorious to attract the northeastern investors, buyers, second homers, you could say, the snowbirds, all of that. So great opportunity to get on video to where they can start doing that research ahead of time. And then, so you get started, you jump in, and it wasn't easy at first, correct?
No, it was not easy. Being in front of the camera wasn't easy. Like, watching what people are looking at while my wife has the phone out, like, are they going to beep? Are they going to yell something out the window? Not knowing what to say. And I'm great. The thing is, with people, I've always been great. Like, it doesn't have to be real estate or anything else. It's just, I'm great with people. And so, I can do an open house of a house that I've never even been to before, open it up, have somebody walk in as I'm setting and turning lights on, and still be able to make it through that house and make it through that tour, just because I'm good with people. For some reason, as soon as that red light turns on behind the camera, I turn into an idiot, and I can't do or say anything. And I'm like stuttering, and I don't know what it was. So it really took some time. And for a while there, I wanted to quit, but I'm not a quitter. I've never quit anything in my life. And so I'm like, this has to get easier as we go along. And I practiced stuff, and I did stuff in the mirror. I don't normally do that. I don't normally look in the mirror. I don't practice things, but I really like, how are people going to see me? And when I was interacting with people, I was remembering those conversations about these are questions that these people had. So these are things that I'm going to be proactively telling other people about. And so my wife and I are Christians, and we have servant hearts. And so we wanted to make the channel more about giving information to people, and like that would be informative to them if they were going to move in the area. And maybe that's not good from a business sense, because we're not asking to like and subscribe. We're not asking to leave a comment or call us as often as we should. And I know that we're not, and we can do better with that. But we really want, like, what is value? What is somebody that's going to, what is something that they need to know about living here, even the bad? And so let's make sure that we tell them that. So that was important to us.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, and all that comes with even more practice, and I'll still do it to this day where I forget, say, oh, comment below or make sure you subscribe. But also, we like to build that in the program in the beginning, too. If you get that out of the way at the beginning of the video, that does just kind of get it out of the way. And you do want to, people will typically go where you lead them. I mean, this, not just in business, but in service as well. So, if you ask for something, and you shall receive most of the time. So it's just part of the process and getting more comfortable in there. And you went for a few months there, really struggled. I would say just with the videos, like you said, but then also, I mean, no phone calls, right? So then that always makes you start questioning things when you still don't start seeing the fruits from your labor, right?
Sure. Yeah. And that was difficult, and my wife wasn't really on board right away, because we were going to be having to, there was going to be time and money that we're going to be spending into this that weren't going to be getting, that we weren't going to be getting dividends from right off the bat. So, in fact, she thought some of it was fake. When we saw some of the views come in, she's like, "Oh, they might have different IP addresses and might be watching them themselves." Like she was pessimistic about it. I'm like, I don't think that this is good practices. And she didn't sit on the 3-day thing like I did. And so I'm like, you don't know Levi's character like I do. Not that I knew you, of course, but like just watching you on camera and being vulnerable and opening up. So it was challenging, but like I said, I'm an eternal optimist. And so I'm like, well, you know what, Rachel, my wife, at least we're going around to communities that we wouldn't normally look at. On a Tuesday afternoon when I didn't have anything going on, I'm not going touring new construction homes in a brand new community and then talking about it to other people. I'm not doing my research, because I already feel like an idiot behind or in front of the camera. I can't feel like an idiot by stuttering and not knowing what I'm talking about either. So I really, the night before, would dig in deep on, what the neighborhood is producing, what the average sale is, average price per square foot, just different things the community is going to do. And so at minimum, I'm getting value there. And so whether it was somebody calling from my video or somebody that was meeting at an open house that I'm now touring another place with, they're like, "Man, you know a lot about this place." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And so there is value there too, even if the phone wasn't ringing from the videos. But and then the phone didn't ring as often as I wanted to. I'd get a text, I'd get a comment, and I felt like I was missing something on why aren't they calling a second time or a third time? Why aren't these conversations producing something? And then, like I said, just all of a sudden, it hit. And then it didn't really stop from that point, which was great.
Yeah, it's a compound effect, and typically that comes with a lot of nothing in the beginning. So, and again, a different market. So those that are listening right now, I just want to encourage you that if you are starting right now, or you started in the last 6 months, and you feel like it's not working, I mean, I always just tell people, look, you will be successful if you just don't quit. Especially on this. It's just a matter of time, and we're in different markets, different times right now. There's a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of noise, a lot of news. I mean, news happens every 5 hours, it seems like, and so, it's just one of those things where you get better. And I love what you say too about the research aspect of it, because it's making you a better agent, and you can have those conversations. And that is a key component too, because most agents don't take the time to do that. Even if they're not making videos. And so that's been feedback time and time again. And I know I talk about this a lot, which is, man, I know so much about Dallas now. And last night I met a guy, there's a park, in our community. They just built out a new park, like a block from our house. And we're in there walking, and the dogs are meeting and everything. So we start talking, and he's lived here for a couple of years, moved from California, of course, which we get a lot of Californians. Mm-hmm. And I was almost finishing his sentences, because he was as soon as I said, well, I'm in real estate, he started saying, oh, well, what do you think about, and he's kind of like just pointing in general directions. And I was like, oh, Mosaic, which is a new, oh yeah, Mosaic, and then he's like, what about this? I'm talking the Point. Oh yeah, the Point, and so, and it's surprising to me sometimes. I'm like, oh, it kind of makes me feel good. I'm like, wow, okay, I really know this real estate stuff.
Yep.
And that comes from the reading and the research and just getting to know the areas, going out, touring them. I mean, it does, because if I want to make a video, I got to get out there and see them and go through the model homes and also the new communities, know about the developments in the area, how that's affecting everything. So it's definitely made me a better agent and be able to have better conversations. I was talking with actually a group of neighbors the other night. We were out walking and run into, neighbors were all kind of huddled on the street corner, and we started talking, and same thing. They're like, what's going on over here? And I could easily tell them about the developments and everything. And they were just like, oh, okay. They were just really, really intrigued about everything that's happening. So it's really a key component of it. And I also caution people right now in the world of AI, because we can do research, with AI, or ask a question or say, hey, give me pros and cons of the beach town, and it'll just spit it out. But if you don't actually take time to verify, because we got to make sure that AI is correct and also it's giving all that. So one way or another, you've got to do a little bit of that work ahead of time to do that. And I think the confidence, what I always emphasize with people as well, is confidence comes from either preparation or experience, and so if you don't have the experience in the beginning, the more you prepare or the more you learn or the more you understand, helps build that confidence, especially when you're going to get on camera. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call and you said, was it somebody from Colorado? Was it?
Yeah. The first phone call I got was from Colorado Springs.
Okay. And how fast did that go under contract?
Well, it was like so we're a vacation town. There's not a lot. We have 10,000 residents that live on the island, and then and now this is not full-time residents, of course, and then we only have 30,000 people that live in our city, and so they had been visiting here a couple times, and this was like a discovery trip, is what they were calling it, kind of see what they like and what they don't like. And I'm very cautious and conscientious of flood zones, because that's the first thing people think about when they go to coastal towns, is they think about flood zones. And so I try not to show, or I won't show, flood zone areas. And so they're like, hey, we're going to be here next week. I'm like, great, let's meet at a local place that a lot of people don't know about. We sat down, had lunch, and then we're going to look at houses that day. And we walked to our first couple houses, because that's how our city's laid out, that we have like 30 restaurants within walking distance of all of our places. And so we walked to our first couple places, then looked around. And the second day, the last house we looked at, they're like, yeah, we want to make an offer on this. I'm like, what happened to a discovery trip? Well, this is the one.
We discovered it.
We discovered the one that we want. So, and then it was New Jersey after that. And then it was Raleigh, North Carolina. And then I just closed on one 3 days ago from a couple from Salt Lake City. And so they just kind of, and every one of them too, I want to mention this, because if there's anybody thinking about doing this program, for me anyway, it's you just need 1 or 2 phone calls and 1 or 2 showings, even if you don't get the deal, because you think about the questions that they're asking, and you think about how you're going to apply these to future videos and things that you're going to tell in the future to other people, because these are things that, we get this curse of knowledge, like we forget what it's like not to live here, and so I don't think about shark bites or alligators, or those things don't come up to me, because like we live here, this doesn't happen hardly ever, so but to other people, they're like, oh, well, what about snakes and what about alligators? I'm like, we live on an island. Alligators don't swim in salt water. Like they can't even get over here, but it's you start thinking about and talking about these things. But every time I'm with anybody, whether it's from a YouTube video that they reached out or not, I'm thinking about, how do I apply this to future videos and make these videos better, so I do get more interaction, and so people are watching them more, and every video kind of gets a little bit more. And so Rachel and I recently have been shifting gears to not just do community tours, but do events. We did a wine walk. They shut down the main street here, where they have like 13 or 14 locations where you can get 1.5 ounces of different wine at each place. And we did a day of just a wine walk. We did the farmers market. We're doing best parks this week, best places to surf. So doing a little bit different things that aren't even necessarily real estate related, but just something that can help other people that are moving into the area. Again, trying to be servant.
Yeah. That's really cool. And so first deal under contract, and that happens with us. We have so many people that will come into town, and they'll even say, we're not going to do anything for a year, so they're prepping us. And then the next thing you know, day 2, they're like, you know what, let's go ahead and put in an offer. Or this is a great opportunity where new construction comes into play. Because even if someone is like, well, I'm 6 months out or 8 months out. Okay, well, what if we picked a home that was going to be ready in 8 months? What if you took advantage of the market right now? I mean, the builders are offering discounts, they're offering incentives, they're offering buy downs, they're offering lender closing. I mean, all kinds of things. So why not take advantage of that now? And it'll be ready whenever you come to move down. So yeah, we have people that come in for discovery trips all the time and discover their next house and make that move. So it's pretty amazing. But now
I think too, also though, that when you say those things, that this isn't about right now, like for us, I know you have your own, you say your own thing, but for us, we say, whether it be 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, don't hesitate to reach out. And so, that couple was literally 2 days.
Yeah.
Just a couple days ago, though, we had a guy that commented on one of our videos on one of our top 5 communities. And he said, I'm looking forward to your pros and cons video in that movie. He's like, I'm more of the 200 days, in quotes, that he put there. But that's the fact that he's listening and the fact that we're prompting something there. And so I think that these are all like hindsight things. I've been doing this now a year with you guys. And these are hindsight things that I wish I would have understood what they meant at the beginning, and why we're staying consistent with them.
Yeah, people listen to what you say in the videos. And you think about it, they watch video after video after video, which is, again, why, we emphasize, especially for beginners, even if you memorize more of a generic hook or intro in the beginning, it just gets you in that rhythm. It gets you in that flow. But we have things that are repeated back to us all the time. And I love the example of, we had a client come in from Kenya, Africa, and brought me a bag of coffee because, he said, he's like, I know how much you love coffee. And I don't make coffee videos, but if I'm in the communities, I always stop at a coffee shop.
Yep.
And that may be about 10 to 20 seconds of the video. But I will say, oh, hey, grab my iced Americano.
How was that coffee, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's amazing. So, and anytime I travel, I always bring home 1 or 2 coffee bags from local, coffee roasters and things like that. But yeah, that's what's really cool is if I'm going to stop in here, grab a quick coffee at 1418. You should check it out if you're here. And so and that's what I call incorporate, not dedicate, which is just incorporate bits of your personality and things you like. We typically stop at a barbecue restaurant, and because Alex and I will love to, my videographer, I do. I think he doesn't mind, but I'm like, if I'm in a new area or new community, I'm always like, hey, what's the local barbecue shop we can go check out? And then we might do a little segment in there, which is, oh, by the way, we're here at Tender Smokehouse, and let me give you a few little stats and data about the area. And it's just a time to where it gives them a sense, a feel. I want them to understand Texas culture, which is coffee and barbecue and football and those types of things. But other than that, it's really cool to get that. And one of our first deals that went under contract from the channel, she said the exact same thing. She said, well, because they came into town, we met them at noon, and we had them under contract by 3 p.m. So literally, like within 3 hours of meeting them, we showed them a couple of communities, stopped at one community, and they're like, "Oh, this is it," and we want to put a contract on this house. And I was like, "Why did you call me?" And she said, "Well, you said if we're moving in 9 days or 90 days." I mean, that's what she said. So all those little key phrases, which I always do my best to explain that stuff really does matter. It's
absolutely,
again, referencing like the Friends theme song. If I asked you, well, I don't know, you're a music fan, so which I like you got all the Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews, yep, that's right.
Covers behind you, so I'm assuming you're a Dave Matthews fan. But I mean, if you hear the Friends theme song, most people, 99.9% of the people, are going to say that's the Friends theme song. They're not going to know the artist or the name of the song, but they'll identify that as the Friends, and that's just a form of branding. So little things that you like, your personality incorporated throughout the videos, or what you say, hey, 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days. People say 1 month or 1 year, or across the street or across the country. If you're moving from across the street or across the country, we can help you out. those little things actually do resonate and really make a difference. And when they hear them over and over and over again throughout every single video, they're like, okay, well, I mean, that's telling us, so it must be true.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. So now all of a sudden 6 million under contract, right? Or pending contract and closed.
Yeah, that's 6 million closed. I have another about $2 million right now in pending. That's not all necessarily from the video stuff, but I everything's connected, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would have gotten the last one that I just went under contract on Friday. I don't know if I would have gotten that person under contract in Copper Creek had I not done a video in Copper Creek.
Yeah.
So that's, I knew everything there was to know about this area more than I did some of the other areas that they wanted to look at. And I don't know that one didn't have something to do with the other.
Yeah.
And so I'm not just relating everything back to people that are calling me from YouTube, and it doesn't always have to be people out of town. I did a video on a brand new community, and I had somebody that lived in that in that city call me about that. That wasn't somebody from out of town. That was somebody that lived in that city. Hey, I saw this. I had somebody else call me about the flood video. And he's like, I love that you were talking about there's some negative things in New Smyrna Beach. There are some areas not to live in. And I love that you weren't just trying to sell something, but you're trying to sell us what not to do in this area. I had another lady that called me from Atlanta that said, hey, her best friend lives here. And she's a retired real estate agent. She was looking to get her friend with the right agent. And she was watching my videos and she liked my personality. So she connected me with her. So you don't know what impact you're having on these people until they actually call.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's amazing. And you're right. It's not just all out of town. I mean, that question comes up all the time. Well, can I get local business or listings? Yes. I mean, yes, all of that. And it starts to really just compound as well. I mean, for us, it's crazy now in these communities. This year alone, I mean, I've been recognized more than ever before than the last 4 years combined. And so just this year alone, there's not a week that goes by. And a couple of weeks ago, every single day, like one day of the week, like every single day, somebody recognized me from videos throughout the community. And it was at the gym, it was at church, it was at a restaurant, it was at the shopping center. I mean, all these different areas, just running into people, and they'll come up and that's really great feedback too, because they always come up and they're like, oh man, I love the videos and your channel is the reason I moved here. And so it's really amazing to see the impact of that. Yeah, that it's having. But even builders are telling me now, whenever I show up to communities, like they know, and they're like, hey, man, love your videos. And also we appreciate your accuracy. I mean, I've had that said to me by builder reps more and more, which is really important that you do understand even pronouncing a community correctly or something like that. It's funny because one that I thought was pretty common, they told me, you're the only guy that actually represents the community and the name of the community correctly. And I was like, oh, wow. And that was not even something I had even thought about or intentionally done, but it also reinforced for me the importance of, the research ahead of time and having an understanding, and maybe even going there ahead of time just to view things and have those conversations, not just go on there on site and make things on the fly, but to even do a site prep or site visit ahead of time. So just to get familiar, but all of it is definitely a compound effect. But I would say, even if 8 million for a year, that's not bad, right? Yeah,
I was looking up this weekend, pouring down rain, and we couldn't do anything outside. And I was just on ChatGPT, and I'm like, I'm asking it because I'm a competitive person. I ran track and field in college, and I play a lot of tennis. I'm pretty competitive, and I'm like, here's how much I've done. Here's how much are under contract. How would I compare nationwide? Just to kind of feel like where I'm at. And I mean, it's been, July 15th was a year. So I'm 13 and a half months into the trade, and it's not easy. And, those first 6 to 8 months were hard, and I can see why people leave the industry. I can see why they don't stick around. But it's a shame because I haven't lived here for 13 years because I was in Dallas starting another business. So I got back with almost zero sphere and was able to step up and be a player in the community in a vacation town in a crap market and still be able to put up some numbers. And so there's no excuse for anybody. There's no excuse. I'm sorry. Like if you've lived somewhere your whole life and you have a sphere of people and you're in the chess club or bunco or whatever you do, and you're not putting up numbers, there's no excuse for it. So, can I ask you a question though? I know you're interviewing me, but I would really like to ask you a question that I've come across on some difficult days.
Yeah,
Are there ever days? I know filming is like you're doing it no matter what. I've talked to Chrissy a couple times before, and she's like, he doesn't waver on shooting videos. Are there ever days that you go out and you're just like, today's not the day. I'm just not into it. But you still put the video up. You still do it. You still put on that face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how do those videos come out compared to some of your other videos that you're on and prepared for that day?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little switch for me, I suppose, so even if I may not be feeling it right there, I've always just got to position myself to think, this video is not about me or how I'm feeling. It's about who's on the other side watching this. So it really does come down to a service mentality, I think. And there's things that happen, life happens. I might have just gotten a bad news text right before that, or a phone call, or whatever the case may be. And of course, dealing in the business that I'm in, helping others, it's like, I love to hear you and the other success stories, but at the same time, I also get the exact opposite, where I take the blame for people's non-success, or the ones that quit in month 9 instead of sticking it out because, they didn't get anything and they didn't know how close they were. So yeah, there's always challenges that I'm facing. And I would say it's even compounded, more and more as we help more people. I mean, the more people we help, there's an equal or even bigger amount of people that blame me for lack of success. And that's
I say the more you have to lose. And that's kind of it. You have this wide stretch of stuff that you've been doing. And you've been doing it for a long time. So there's, pure numbers tell you that there's going to be, that number, that negativity is going to increase just with the positivity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so that stuff happens a lot, but, but at the same time, I'm at a point to where, and I always emphasize motion creates emotion. Yeah. And so at the same time, where you may not be feeling a video where you're about to make it, like as soon as you get into the first few frames, you could say, or first few lines or things like that, typically your energy kind of starts to pick up, or, you start, your preparation kicks in, and then you start explaining things. And the next thing you know, it's like, boom, video's done. And also, editing has always made me look better than sometimes. I still walk away from videos till this day wondering, wow, was that any good? I don't know. Did I make all the points? And I'll come back and see the edited version. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, actually that was way better than it felt. So even creating the video, whether I'm in a good mood or something just came up, there's always just a little feeling of, did I do it justice? Did I make an impact with this video? And a lot of times, but I still watch back videos sometimes, and I may see myself and I'm thinking, okay, I feel like I was smiling or something, and I didn't look that way. But at the same time, I got to remember too, that not everybody is as critical about me as I am. And most people don't notice, little things that we, turn into a mountain sometimes.
Yeah.
Other people, it just flies right by them. And so overall, again, the amount of videos that I make, the amount of subscribers I have, the amount of views I get, it's still really, really a small amount of phone calls if you compare it. And so that's what matters, those phone calls, and then the conversations with those people, and the feedback from them is always, love your videos, very impactful. I felt like I was right there with you. So informative. You saved me 2 or 3 trips. I was able to do a lot of research ahead of time. And also, like you mentioned, I'm in a big area, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times somebody said, thank you so much for your videos. I've narrowed it down to 2 areas or 3 areas. And you think about the amount of time that saves us, instead of somebody coming into town saying, hey, can you take me to Dallas, to Fort Worth, to Arlington, to South Dallas, to North Dallas, right? I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out if they want Waxahachie or Corinth.
Yeah.
And those are 2 completely different counties at the, that's. For sure. You can, and you're saving yourself money there too, because you're not driving all over DFW.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and now we spend a tremendous amount of time on North Dallas, and I'll get the comments too. Like, I can't believe you left out South Dallas or this area. And I'm like, well, look, first of all, I can't, there's 250 plus suburbs in Dallas, so, I mean, I've got to pick and choose, but I'm also going to talk about mainly the areas that I want to focus on that are within a 30-minute to even an hour commute time. I mean, even an hour is really kind of stretching it for us, but that does leave out some great communities. But we're trying to think about our families and our commute time and areas that we can really concentrate in and specialize in as well. So, but then you have the advantage. You got the beach, and that's another emphasis that I make with people. If you've got mountains, you've got beach, you've got scenery, it's amazing. And I love Dallas, but I would say it's flat and mostly a lot of the suburbs look the same. So you do have to find the unique qualities in there and talk more about the lifestyle and the family orientation and the those types of things to really get the draw. And it is an amazing business town. It's amazing for jobs and economy and growth. And so we got to focus on that. But yeah, I mean, it is. But to answer your question, yes, there are days that I may not be feeling it, but once I hit record and I get into it, and then also, because I do work with a videographer now, most of the time, well, not most of the time, I switch back and forth. I still record a lot of times, but you mentioned earlier, real estate's a lonely business, and you add making videos on top of that. Sometimes it gets even more lonely because you're fortunate to be in the business with your spouse. A lot of people are out there solo. And not only does that make real estate challenging on some days, it makes recording.
I don't know if it's better solo or with your spouse.
Well, yes,
depends on the day. It depends on the day.
Yeah, you could argue that as well. So, but yes, most of the time having a business partner or spouse tends to be beneficial or encouraging to where one of you may not feel it and the other one's kind of like, okay, hey, we got this, we can do this, or we have to make this happen. So,
well, it has been marriage building. I'll tell you, and she doesn't know real estate, and she's not a licensed real estate agent. So when she's, when we're doing community tours, she'll talk about the community and the location and the schools, because we have a daughter. And so, and then we do a lot of videos where we'll go to a local restaurant because we have so many great places on the water, on the intracoastal, on the ocean, and so we'll do that. She likes that. She's going to lunch with her husband, paid for by the business, and getting to talk to her husband that doesn't really want to talk too much at night when he's done with his busy day. So, but then she gets to see, what I'm doing and appreciate what I'm doing a little bit too. So it has been marriage building for us. But there are some days that I'd be like, you know what, it's okay if you stay home. I haven't done any of those days, but I'm waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, pros and cons to everything, right?
Pros and cons, sure.
Peaks and valleys, pros and cons. It's all part of the business. And for me though, last year I spent the most time out of my market as well with my family. My family went with me to Vegas for 3 weeks. And, not that I'm not a drinker or a gambler, but, I had 3 events, 3 weeks in a row, 3 speaking opportunities. And I was like, man, I'm going to fly there for 2 days, come home for 2 days, fly back for 2 days, come back for 3 days, fly there. I was thinking about time zone changes, flights, 3 different hotels or whatever. And she was like, why don't we just go there for 3 weeks and stay there? And we got friends there. We could go see some of the shows and some of the sites on, be a tourist. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Every time I go into Vegas, I'm in and out. I've never really taken time to go see some of the surrounding sites or go to a couple of the shows. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And because of this opportunity of making video, that was an option. And actually I didn't even really think twice about it. As soon as she said that, I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. And then we road tripped it. We drove 2 days out there and stopped in Albuquerque, and stayed a day in Albuquerque and sightseed there and took our dog. And so it was, it just turned into this trip. And it's like, what real estate agent do you know that, their spouse can suggest, hey, let's leave your market for 3 weeks. And they're like, okay, sure. Yes. That's a great idea. Most of the time they'd be like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
I can't afford that. You know how much business I'll lose. And again, that, and, you know, we went to Spain for 2 weeks, and the family came to Spain. We went to Puerto Rico, we went to Brazil. I mean, it was crazy. And they all went with me, you know? And so that was a tremendous opportunity, but I just doubled up on videos before I left. And that's the power really of passive prospecting, right? Because most agents, I believe, get accused of work-life balance, or not having work-life balance, or not being present on the weekends or evenings or those types of things, because they don't have the right systems or processes in place. But also they do fear, I think, if they're not prospecting or, you know, making calls or doing something on a day-to-day basis, that everything's going to fall apart. And to some extent, that's true. If it's all dependent upon you and your direct efforts, then yes. But making a video, that as soon as I make that video, it goes to work for me. So that's the other thing that gets me through sometimes whenever I have that feeling, you know, of, you know, I'm not really feeling it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, first of all, this video is probably worth about $15,000 or $20,000. So when you do the math, you like the math, you could start breaking down now the amount of videos you've done to the amount of volume you've created, and say, oh, well, actually, my videos are worth about $10,000 or $15,000 a piece. So that's one motivating factor. The other motivating factor is, well, we could go travel or go on a mission trip or go to Central America for a week or two. And guess what? I already recorded my videos, and they're getting published, and the business is still happening. So, you know, when somebody has something outside of real estate that they're working on, or, you know, a bigger mission or a bigger purpose, then I think this is the best opportunity you could have in your business to do that. And it also opens up the doors for, you know, what could you do in Central America as well to get the word out? I mean, you know, you could even, you know, the understanding of a channel now, you understand passive prospecting. So, you know, if you wanted to fuel that mission too, I mean, you could have a channel related to that some form or fashion if you see it fit there. And it's something that could work for you when you're in Florida and building your business in Florida. You could have videos, you know, that are Central America related or mission related that are also kind of doing work on the back end when you're not presently there. So many opportunities that come for that. I mean, this goes further than just real estate itself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's when we have hurricane season that we're in right now, it's been a mild one, but, you know, when we saw Aaron coming in and we didn't know where it was going to land, I mean, we went out and shot, you know, 4 or 5 videos in 1 week, the week before, which now just puts us ahead of schedule. You know, Aaron ended up coming around and ended up going towards North Carolina, but it ended up making our waves here amazing. So we had surfers from around the world. So then we were able to do kind of like a fun video and get out and film pro surfers from around the world with these perfect waves from Aaron being, you know, hundreds of miles out. But, you know, you can set your schedule, and there's not a lot of other jobs that you can do that. In my prior business, air conditioning and plumbing, I couldn't be like, okay, I'm getting ready to go be away for a week and a half, but I'm going to do all this work now. Like, there's no way I can do that, because that's, you know, that's COD, that's cash on delivery. This is always doing something. So I really like that. And I don't think that we haven't even been around long enough. I mean, we have 65 videos, I think, right now, and haven't, you know, been barely shooting for a year. So I don't even think we have enough videos to really work in arrears for us yet. You know, that we have people calling from some of our first videos. So I think that's definitely a positive with this program.
That's amazing. So where did ChatGPT rank you then? Are you, I would imagine you're in top probably at least 5%, right?
Yeah, it said probably 4%, which, you know, that's great, because now I got to go to be top 3 and then top 2, you know. So, I mean, it's great with being in, like you said, we're in, you know, we're not even a year post new election. We're in, you know, a very weird market with interest rates at 6.885%, you know, a Fed chair probably changing fairly soon, in a very slow real estate market with a brand new real estate agent. And to be able to put up those kind of numbers, this is how I'm going to remember getting into real estate, is in this time. So then any other great time should be easy compared to this, but this is what I'm getting used to. I mean, I got my license. I signed up for you guys around July 15th, or maybe a month after that point. August 18th was the NAR change. So, you know, I mean, that's like right when I'm coming into the industry is when all these changes, and this is all I know. I don't know of showing houses prior to that, you know? So I go right into this. Okay, how am I going to make this work to my advantage? I don't know anything different than this. Great. So again, it's just a challenge. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah, and according to National Association of Realtors, if you're a brand new agent, the average income is $8,700 the first 2 years, and I guess that was true for your first year, right? So
yeah, I was fortunate because I sold the business, and even though I got taken in the business, I was getting paid consultant. I was getting paid a consultant fee every month, the 15th of every month, to be a consultant for the business that I sold. Now, again, that didn't come to full fruition, but it did allow me some time. But I'm not able to. This is no offense to anybody in real estate. I'm not a soccer mom. I'm not. This is like my second job. Like, I support a wife and 11-year-old daughter, and so I have to be successful. So almost right from the very beginning, here is my expenses. What do I need to make in order to survive and put a little bit of money aside? And now divide that by 12 months worth of work. How many deals do I have to need to get in order to get this? And I'm working on that, on the small things, not on the large things, And so when I get ahead of schedule, which I am right now for 2025, then I'm not taking my foot off the gas. I'm putting my foot down even more, because now how can I buffer this for next year, for the year after that? So there's too many people roll over, and I think too many people roll over in this industry, and that's just not something that I'm capable of doing. So and when people said, oh, don't get into it now, don't do it now, oh, you're too smart for this, oh, you're too educated for this. Well, that just makes me want to do it more. All that does is tell me I want to prove you wrong, and that I need to be even harder into this.
Yeah. It's a great quality of life when you incorporate video into your business,
Sure.
And so, but I wanted to share with you this too, because talking about ChatGPT, we just got this lead a couple of days ago, and this is how it came in. It said, "Hi, Levi, how are you? When I asked ChatGPT, who's the best real estate agent in Dallas-Fort Worth area who has provided the best service to folks moving from out of state, you were ranked number 1. So I've been watching loads of your YouTube videos, and I'm very interested to learn about homes in Dallas-Fort Worth." And this is a $1 million client. So just like that. So even now it's coming through on ChatGPT, which is pretty cool. We're like, oh, that's
amazing.
Yeah. But also there was a study that came out, and it said the 3 main areas that ChatGPT is pulling from. Number 1 is Reddit. So it makes us look at, okay, well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Number 2 is Wikipedia, which again, I don't know if that's a good thing either. But Number 3 was YouTube. And where ChatGPT is starting to pull data from to do this. So it's just interesting. You're building a library, and it's a library that really does live forever on YouTube, unlike any other platform. All the other platforms, and I know people do business, and I'm not knocking those, but when you think about the longevity of it, I mean, those videos on other platforms last about 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And try scrolling back in somebody's feed to find a video. And it's just, YouTube will still serve videos, even if they're 2, 3, or 4 years old, if they think it's relevant for that viewer. They'll put it right in front of them. So it's pretty amazing. On top of that, in the last 5 years, we've had 75 million impressions. And, according to YouTube, an impression means they put your thumbnail on the screen for somebody to actually make a decision if they want to click on your video. And it's like, what? How could you get in front of 75 million eyeballs in a 5-year time period for nothing, for free? I mean, they've given us those impressions for free. And there's nothing else I think even compares to it. So it's really an amazing opportunity, and I'm glad you stuck with it there, because you mentioned you did have some doubts after the first few months. You wondered and had some doubts. You did consider it, and I tell that to people too in the beginning. Look, I didn't have a roadmap, and so I even thought about quitting in the beginning. I thought, is this really going to work? But I also committed to myself at least 1 year. I was like, I'm gonna do this for 1 year, no matter what, and see what happens.
That's exactly the time frame that we gave ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I wanted to quit, but that didn't mean I did quit. It was, we're giving ourselves this period of time, and we'll work as hard as we can, and we won't take our foot off the pedal. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it as good as we can for this period of time. And then if it still doesn't work, we'll move on to something different. But it did after 8 months.
Yeah. And anybody listening to right now, I just want to say that a year may not be enough. So even if you give yourself a year timeline, it's just a different market right now, and it's an even more challenging market right now. So I would say just make that commitment. It'll work. Most people are going to quit, and they usually quit between month 4 to 8. Anywhere between month 4 to 8 is where most channels quit, and that could be right on the cusp of something big. Mm-hmm. We have one guy, small market, Orange Beach, Alabama. He didn't get his first phone call for 9 months, and he was thinking about quitting, and then all of a sudden at the 9-month mark, boom, complete compound effect, snowball, and now he's doing more business than he ever had done in his previous 10 years in real estate. And so happy as a beach bum right now, and loving life, and they're growing and expanding, and it's amazing. So just stick with it. There's so many examples of success out there, but there's 10, if not 100 times of examples of non-success. So you just got to decide, like, where do you want to be? And again, give yourself some grace in this market. It's a different market. It is more challenging, and it is what it is. But if you work through that, you're also going to be perfectly positioned to where it's not going to go on forever. That's the other thing too. So is that the beginning of next year? Is it mid next year? Is it 2027? I don't know. But those that build up their channels now, and even if there's some success, then you're going to be perfectly positioned if the market comes back. And I think when it does, it's going to come back pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree.
Of time. So just stick with it, and it will work out. All right. So thank you so much, Matt. I would always ask, any final words of wisdom, for those, especially just getting started, or maybe they're struggling right now as well, or just wondering if this is their next move, or are they in a position of, I don't know, any final words of wisdom you'd have?
No, I mean, I just think, just grow every video, just grow, and take it as that you're not just doing this for the video, but you're also doing it for yourself, that you're doing it for the community. You wouldn't have gone out and done this prior anyway. And what is this going to pay dividends in the future, whether it's from a YouTube person or not? So I think you need to just take everything, be an eternal optimist as best you can, and lean heavily on those editors to make you look good in all the videos.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Rachel, we said hello as well. And look forward to talking to more about Belize on top of that.
Absolutely. All right, great. Thank you.
See you. All right. And we're good.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Let me send a quick message here. Okay, cool. All right, good. All right. Is there anything I can help you all out with?
What percentage of, I just had one question. What percentage of people that reach out initially, whether it's a text, phone call, email, a Zoom, what percentage do you feel like you end up getting all the way to the closing table on?
We average usually between 9 to 15%.
Okay.
So I would say that's a good target.
Okay. I was wondering, because I've had a lot of, since I've gotten traction, I've had a lot of people calling and email and texting, and I feel like I'm like, man, I was thinking it was going to be like 75%, like that. No, I did Tom Ferry for a little while too. And they're like, what percentage of jobs do you think you're going to close I'm like, why wouldn't I close all of them? How many listings do you think you're going to close? I'm like, why wouldn't I close all of them? So I was thinking high. So it's good to hear that, because there have been some that just, they're here, they visit 2 days, and then they're gone. And I'm like, what the heck happened? I know we had a good time. So that was the one stat I wanted to check with you on, that nobody really had the answer for me with.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been steady year after year on that 9 to 15%. So I think that's a good range. But if you look at any other type of online marketing, it's 1 or less than 1% typically. You can buy a bunch of leads and those types of things, and you're still going to have a very, 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 very low percentage conversion on there. So yeah, and you're just building your pipeline. I mean, we've had people disappear for 6 months, 12 months, and then resurface. We have people that reach out and they'll say, I've watched the channel for 2 years and now I'm ready to make a move. And that's the first time we ever hear from them. And then they go under contract in a week. Yeah. So it's just, and that's what I look at. And especially because we deal with a lot of new construction too. I look at contact to contract. We kind of measure that. So we start looking at we always keep a list of when their first reach out to when we get them under contract. And so we still average between 60, it's closer up to 75 to 80 days now. Sometimes 90, but that's still a pretty good turnaround from whenever.
Yeah, that's great if you figure the 30 to 45 day close.
Yeah.
So that's still, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Not good to hear. I mean, I wish your percentage was higher, but it's good to hear from my own comparison. Because like I said, I was expecting,
well, we don't,
higher.
Yeah, we don't count closing because, someone may go under contract on a new construction that takes 9 months. So when we say contact to contract, it's like, when did they sign? Because they may close 9 months later.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
So, but otherwise, if we look at lead flow to close deals each year, low side's been about 9% for us. High side's been 15, and the other years have been like 10, 12%. So that's the really a good range.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I appreciate you doing this. I was asking for it for a while. I kept telling my coach, I'm like, I want to get something. And, even when we were getting ready to come up for like expiring, I'm like, I really wanted an interview. He's like, they don't do it until you close on something. And then finally, when I got to the closing table, I'm like, I reached right out to him like, hey, let's get this popping. So, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Cause I know your calendar was pretty booked, and he even said that you weren't even taking appointments. So I appreciate it.
No problem. I love hearing the stories, and you never know, it opens up for other opportunities too. And so now we got the whole that's on there. So I like it. It's amazing. So congratulations to you and Rachel. I really, really love hearing that. It's only going to get better from here.
Yeah. Great. Well, do you want to do the intro with me here, or you're good?
No, you can go ahead and take off, and I'll record it on my own.
Okay. All right, Levi, I really appreciate it. Thanks. And if you do want any, like, I know you have a lot of people reaching out and all a bunch of stuff, but like, if you do ever want to contact with the person that runs Serve Hope, Christian is his name, Christian Melendez, and him and I are very close friends. I've stayed at his house before, in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, and in the United States. And he's in Dallas, and their corporate is in Frisco, and then they work with several other nonprofits up there in Frisco too. So if you ever want a connection, or if you're ever interested in doing one of the trips, I would love, like, I do talk about YouTube. I don't know it like you do, but I want to talk about things with them that don't cost a lot of money, because they don't have a lot of money. Honduras has the lowest GDP of all other Latin American countries. And that the average family in Honduras makes $1,201 a year. Yeah. $1,201 a year is the average. And they're the happiest people in the world. Yeah. Every time I show up to the airport, there's, stuffed animals and balloons and flowers and chocolates and signs for people. I'm like, I show back up in Miami and nobody's waiting for me. They're the happiest people in the world. And I think that, one of the trips would really just change your life. If you ever wanted to do one and then help us open one up in Belize, I think it'd be amazing. I mean, we build houses, we do coffee, and our coffee is from Guatemala. So it's good.
Right next door.
Yeah.
And that's Serve Hope. Is that .com? ServeHope.com, or
it's ServeHopeInternational.com. Okay. Yeah. Yep. The CEO and the COO live in DFW. We're all over Central America, and the Emprende program is run by this guy named Pablo. And there's not a lot of people in that program. We actually need more, and it's just a volunteer thing. It's not a big ask. A couple visits a year, maybe 9 to 10 total days of the year to do 3 visits. But there's, like I said, they're super, super impactful. And just if it's rewarding for me too. Like I hope I give as much as I get, because I get so much, with what we have here. Come back feeling like a piece of crap, because I'm like, gosh, I was mad about the traffic for the drawbridge, and then these people get $1,200 a year. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, it definitely puts things in perspective.
Yeah. All right, Levi. Well, thanks so much for your time again. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It was nice to meet you.
You too. See you, Matt.
Bye.